bush property. I mean, it was just, yeah, what's in this slide here, the DNA indicating a Gondwanan origin for parrots. So there's now a whole series of parrot papers, a very popular group of birds, a lot of scientists done DNA work on them, and they're indicating that parrots from Australia and New Guinea have colonised Asia and Africa. If you look at this paper's quite recent, 2014 in Science. If you look at the relationships are each other's closest relatives, and then that falcons come next. And I mean, you can see that in your latest Sibley field guide, that the falcons are not joined in with hawks and eagles. They're quite separate from them. And so, Sibley in the field guide is following this genetic evidence. And so the interesting thing about them is this really strong kind of Gondwanan signal. So if you look at the perching birds, so songbirds have come out of Australia, the perching birds that are not songbirds, the flycatchers, etc., they're overwhelmingly a South American group. That's where the great bulk of species are. Parrots, overwhelmingly in South America and Australia. Falcons, there are 3 families of falcon in South America, only 1 family outside South America. So that really looks like a picture of a lot of proliferation there, and then some of them spreading out. And then the next group are the Seriamas, only in South America. So yeah, it's very interesting. Then pigeons. So it's very interesting that Australia's got 10 times as much pigeon diversity as Europe. If you look at the number of, and the DNA evidence is once again pointing to some pigeons coming out of Australia, including the dodo. So it was long recognised that dodos were most closely related to pigeons, but the thinking now is that they are actually just really unusual pigeons, because the DNA was taken from a foot, I think, of an old museum specimen, and the dodo fits in with a bunch of pigeons that are in New Guinea and nearby islands, and they fit in with Australian pigeons. So they're pretty iconic groups, songbirds, parrots, pigeons that have this Gondwanan. But in terms of the deepest branch in the pigeon phylogeny, they're South American, little ground-dwelling pigeons. So you can see papers like this. So this is a paper that I don't accept their findings. I consider it too speculative, but Joel Craycraft, very big name in global ornithology. And so this paper is saying that South America is the source of all the world's birds. And so it's saying that the Australian groups I'm talking about, yep, they've spread from South America through Antarctica, Australia, then poured out of Australia, and that all the groups I haven't mentioned have all poured out of South America. And at the beginning I was saying, look, you can't trust fossils. There are problems in ascribing origins, and there's been a paper heavily criticising this, which I'm inclined to agree with. But I think it's important that to show, this is where the thinking is now. I mean, this was widely reported in a kind of Science Digest type websites, usually without any qualification. Oh, we now know all the world's birds started in South America. Now, for me as an Australian, I grew up as this kid. All my books were telling me how primitive